We're going to use solder on this one. I'm afraid the first one might be a disaster. You're never quite sure. There's always unexpected things that happen with these techniques, so you have to kind of be prepared for surprises.
The reason that you would square it off in the welding house just so you get a better fit.
Right. So you get a much more coherent. Let's try this.
That's all right.
You're on candid camera. Except I'm going to have to move over here only because there's some tools in the way.
I'm going to use massive amounts of... is that recording?
No, it's actually off right now.
I'll take several pieces of it, side by side.
So it doesn't melt as quickly?
Yeah, or I'm just pumping more in at the time. Remember, I'm ultimately lazy. I just had a clever idea.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try this stuff this time. Paint some.
Why didn't you want to spritz it on?
I'm afraid these will blow all over the place.
Oh, really? Even with that? Huh?
No, a little bit will always crystallize out on the bottom, but enough stays dissolved. It's not a problem. And once there's some on here, sort of attaching it all together, then I'll spray some more.
And here you're not worried about getting it in between the seams. You think it's just going down into the seams?
Oh, it'll go everywhere, yeah. All that won't be a problem. Especially this goes in nicely because it's so liquid.
Oh, I see. There's quite a coarse.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just use a spritz bottle with that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I don't like the spritz bottles because they don't spray as evenly.
Yeah.
But it would certainly work.
Besides, this doesn't take another hand. Please.
Yeah, that's true. This one's a rebel.
That's the same way that's on the other.
Yeah, except, well, no, it's a slightly different composition. It's got some pink silver in it. And it also has been squared off. And it's just not melting in. We may need... Hey, look at this.
Get a picture of Bill soldering.
I know. The fine art of soldering.
That's beautiful.
See, but look how this is bubbling up and moving all of my wires around. That's what I hate about paste flux.
That's a really resistant solder there.
Look at that.
Dancing.
It worked like this down inside. It's probably not a bad idea once it cools a little to turn it over. And make sure to try to pull some solder through, too. And we may need to melt some more solder in this eventually. Because they might eat away at the mill. So I'm going to lightly roll this baby. Just barely flatten it out. And I'm going to just... Okay, I'm going to grind it.
It, right?
Hmm?
Oh, you're going to grind it.
I thought I'd grind it. We'll take a look. You guys think I should just flood it with more? Okay, I do not have much in the way of pits. I think I may grind both sides and then just try and roll the thing flat. Now,
Can you get it to a high enough temperature by sanding it down and sort of anneals a little bit?
I don't think so. Not that I've ever heard. You could experiment with that by maybe putting a little bit of flux on the far end and heating to see if you can melt the flux or not. Now remember, I mentioned that if you grind with very coarse sandpaper and don't smooth it out before you roll it, you're going to get a fuzzier look than if you make it. If you do something like this, be darn sure you don't roll the end of the tweezers because they are steel. Wow. Okay. Okay. See?
Yeah.
Just trying to fill in any cracks that might be hanging out there. Every single step you do is going to result in a slightly different effect. Body thing. So I think what I'm going to do is grind one side but not the other. And we'll see there's differences in it. I find it interesting that the unbacked sheet is turning out to be so much easier to make than the backed sheet. I didn't remember that being the case, but it's useful to remember.
So the ammonia is hot.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to show you some cold ammonia and some hot ammonia patina.
Oh, really? That's not right. I'll show you. Let me look up some more and I'll pull it out. Show you what I'm
If we
doing.
want to focus on that.
Well, tell me what's going on.
Huh?
What's going on over there? Take a look at some of the samples.
She just came over to see what's going on?
Yeah.
Fun. Lots of work. Lots happening. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It all looks so easy, but
But that's the tricky
that is the tricky thing, right?
Making a bloody mess.
Funny thing is, mine look okay, but they're so thick. It's like,
Well, this is
oh.
gonna be a sheet, you know, foil.
Oh, this is foil. This is ridiculous. But at least it's good.
Ooh, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you the wire.
Wow.
Aren't these beautiful? We're learning all these.
Accumulation of stuff over here, and I think it's okay. It's fine. Yeah, I'll just put another one on the house.
No, see the distance really. Oh,
I think it's just maybe it should be replaced every once in a while.
Yeah, they do clog up.
Yeah.
well,
Especially if
we
there's
were
a little
wondering
bit of
if I
flux.
melted the rubber. Look at this list.
Yeah, you were really wailing away at
Well,
that,
just
weren't you?
there's a lot of gunk in the table on us. I don't know.
No, I think it's just the glue. The rubber looks
It's
fine.
okay. I mean, it's still there. It's just
Yeah.
sand. It's still there. At least it was a $1.50 rubber thing and not the $1,000 roller mill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Let me show you what it was made of.
Yeah, well, I know it. Worry about this side and one side. Look how we're running into this wire problem. Folks, as you're working on twisted wire sheets, you maybe twist together 5 or 6 pieces of wire rather than just 3. You'll end up with a thicker sheet.
Yeah. Isn't that wonderful?
don't forget about the miracles of double-sided tape. This is old, and I'm not sure it's going to do much for me, but double-sided tape is like it's like masking tape. It's like an indispensable material. There she is. You are a saint.
I am.
I'm doing this on purpose.
Got it.
Do I detect a slight note of sarcasm there?
What's the middle? What's that?
Silver. Lots of flux. Yeah, nice and thick. Oh, I've done this with 18 gauge with a screen. In fact, I was going to, something that won't take a whole lot of rolling. Oh, roach repellent.
Yeah,
Yeah, so don't buy it there.
How much was the roast for?
It was dresses that we're going to have to deal with.
But you could eliminate some of it by grinding it down periodically?
Sure. Let's see what's going to happen here. Well, I'm going to melt the flux and let it cool again so these things are stuck in place, and then I'm going to flux them. This, because, underneath where things aren't touching and stuff, actually I'm going to pick this up and melt that flux. Because this is a hellishly large hunk of silver, and it's probably going to take a while to get heated, and I don't want to really get these things on top oxidized out of existence before the silver is kind of prepared. Hot already? I'm just going to keep pumping heat in here until I see them start to sink into the surface. But it's all red hot and the silver isn't red hot yet. About ready to go. There they go. See them? See that one going?
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, lots of silver there. It's just surrounding it.
Now, went maybe a little too far on that. Give this a fair amount of time to cool. A long time here on this one. I may have to heat it a little more from below. I just don't remember what the technique for this one was. I think I can't quite get each localized spot hot enough, so I'm going to try to get the silver really hot and then come up above with the heat. As the screen sticks up in midair and it wants to melt before it sinks in.
Whole thing seems to be
They have really good their Christmas shows.
Yeah, they're new.
Always have some.
Their new
Yeah, it's a great location. Sort of.
It's in that whole area where the new, all those stores on Park are. Isn't that where it is?
It's on Pike between between Belmont and
Yeah, that's
Harvard, I
really
guess. That
developed
was
it.
back and forth.
And you just heat from the top?
I'm going to now and see what happens. I might need to spray some more flux on if things get too burned out.
Right for everyone.
Whoa,
They can
neat.
swear it, huh?
Oh, look at that.
Another thing,
And
it's
you
got
just
that block underneath here, really hot before it's started.
So you're getting a lot of reflection back from that. Now this is all going to look like rough silver. I'm going to have to grind into it. But it's just a mess now. And finally,
I think we'll have to go over to Will too.
Here's another one.
That's good. That's
For the
Yeah.
next year or so, continue to do that. I sort of want,
Rio.
they've been matching Rio gold prices. I mean, their gold prices are out of this
I
world.
love Swiss. They are off the surface, so I can see what's down inside there. You guys know how to tighten a bench pin very tight? No. Very interesting things will start happening. And you guys are saying, boy, I hope so.
oh.
Keith, this was just the scraps, right?
Yep. Yep, and little tiny clippings from.
I know.
We're not gonna get to cover everything.
Good thing we have Saturday.
Yeah.
Or something.
This glass painting is nice enough so that I've always wanted to find out a little more about it.
I'll ask around.
You know, it's one of those things that you
This is just the only one usually available in the U.S.
But they have something look like the same name but not its brand.
That's fine, then we'll work that's okay.
Okay, but they have
The show is how you can take an even surface and make it into a textured surface, scalp off the high spots, and make it an even surface again. And if the high spots and the low spots become a different little distinguish them from one another, but I don't have an example of that right here. So let's, I knew this was going to get really complicated around about here. Let's talk about paper roll print. Probably wouldn't want to tighten it. And I'm going to take the paper, and I prefer to cut. Some people just fold over the paper, so some goes on the front and some goes on the back. I think I'm going to do like a double roll print or something. I'm going to take some window screen on one side. Set to the thickness of the metal and the screen, and crank a little paper in. And you can feel the tension, it's just with experience. So it doesn't grip well. It doesn't seem tight enough to me. There we go. Screen on the back, and paper on the front. Just so you can see the screen on the back is all. And I've got a nice paper roll print on the front. Even though I make fun of spirals, they're so handy. Spiral out of paper, and then I'm going to roll this metal through again with a little bit of pusher paper on the back. That goes on against the back, the spiral against the front.
So maybe
The metal's still about 18 or 20 gauge, and I'm going to roll it. And what's amazing is that those simple cuts will show up as texture.
Oh. The Chinese food is really quick. I'm hungry. The Chinese food is really quick.
It's 3x5.
Oh, that's a nice. Here's a little maze thing. We're doing squares.
Just squares.
Oh yeah, neat.
And I'm going to save my little squares.
So you would have had to.
I think spray mount to do this. Spray on rubber cement, do it outside. It's bad for you, but you can just set things on. This is what I call layered cut paper roll print. I just showed you cut paper roll print of one kind or another. And but I like the idea of building some depth on here. So what I'm doing is and then I've got several options. I'm going to use some pusher paper on the back for this. This is really going to add, because this would be the part against the rolls. So I'm going to do that.
How are you going to keep it in place?
That's why I usually use spray mount.
Yeah.
I'm going to use about 4 layers of pusher paper. Sprinkle with silver, sand it off. You would have had silver squares on a new gold background. With me?
Yeah.
So, just it's sort of like you can't. It's not the commutative property of mathematics. 5 times 3 times 2 is going to equal the same as 2 times 3 times 5. But I'm not so sure about these. You might want to just hammer them in and read. Is this soldered or diving in?
Diving.
You might want to hammer these down in a little bit and then go again.
And trying really gently with sandpaper. You think I'm down to it? You think I still have some more solid?
I think you have some more to go here. It's pretty good in this corner. That one you can lose in an instant, so don't overdo it. I would not overdo it.
This is how you do that?
No. To do at the full is this one. Is that the one you're trying to do? Okay. That's 2 layers. Then apart. One of them. Here, but anneal that first. It looks very hard.
Jump right in there?
Oh my God. That's going to be worth it. That's going to be
Cut
gorgeous.
into about 4 or 6 inch length, about a foot,
And unwind it and then
and
roll
unwind
it.
it and roll it, and
Yeah.
then cut that into.
Yeah, and I would try and solder a piece about 2 by 2.
Okay,
Or
yeah.
maybe 2.5 by 2.5.
Yeah.
And that'll allow you plenty
And
of
maybe
stretching
put some
room.
solder down on a base metal and then lay these down. And
Yeah, and then
solder.
mesh. They're actually not going to mesh perfectly side by side, so you are going to have to flood with solder
Yeah,
anyhow. So
yeah.
you want to put some solder on a base, set these on, get them just to lay down, and then just flood.
Okay,
And don't make them too thin. This is about right, I think.
okay.
And solder them to. But I love a small sample of the sheet when you get it made.
Okay.
I'm gonna beg for small samples of samples from people at the end of the workshop.
Does it use the hard glass over here for backing?
Is there? For backing, of course.
Well, I was gonna emboss.
Why do you want brass?
I thought I understood that we needed to use that.
Oh, wow.
Paper.
Pusher paper.
Pusher paper.
And I don't know where someone, it's back over there, the paper towels are back by the sink. Whoa. Almost level. Good, don't forget to roll it sideways too.
I felt here. Thank you. You think this would turn out well if this brass material is really clean
There's a
paper?
paper part. It may swamp the effect of the paper, but it might not.
I only wanted a little bit.
You're kind of light. You're kind of light.
And I just keep on rolling even after, and then I just run it until it's level.
You It keeps getting bigger and bigger. I mean, if you have anything of King Midas in you, it's really satisfying, you know? What's that? I figure as long as you guys see the samples, it gives you some idea of some of the things that are possible. Even if we don't get a chance to demonstrate it. Nice? Let's see. Oh, your screen. Why it happened. Notice how the colors are different around the edges than they are in the center of things, in the middle of the face. That's because chemistry and solution happens faster on the edges of things because you have chemicals coming from more directions. There's a greater statistical chance that the reaction will occur at an edge boundary than in the center of a face. Now, I'm going out on a limb here. These are Jane Martin pieces, fusion overlay pieces. I believe that this is liver of sulfur.
What else could it be? A heat patina?
Excuse me?
Could it, the only other thing it
They
could
could
really
be
do would be heat patina.
yeah, but I think these are liver sulfur. I looked at them really carefully. I think you're seeing copper and laminate on brass or on new gold here. She really has some of these fusion techniques down, and I think that I would love to see her expand the shapes that she uses. Because I think there's all kinds of possibilities if she would add shape and texture to these things. Because they tend to be squares and circles.
What did you say that?
Done in the last few years. This is Elizabeth Chenoweth Palmer's No Daddy piece. This was Elizabeth's from here. This was shown down at Artworks about 5 years ago, and I saw it there. The whole show was just incredible. It's owned by a collector in South Carolina now. I almost bought this piece. It was dirt cheap. It was like $300.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't have the money, and I thought about it a lot, and I decided I wanted to own pieces of jewelry that I had the guts to wear, and I thought taking this piece on would be just incredible. But this piece deserves to be worn by somebody that can take that on.
Really, every time you wore it.
Yep. It's just an astonishing piece.
What was it colored with, liver of sulfur?
Yeah, these are all liver sulfur, that's why they're in here. This is Laurie Hall's Surrealist Cafe neck piece. I never know whether, I think this is the front of it. I never know whether to flip it so you can read cafe or not. That's because she's basing it on Braque and Picasso's, some of the early Cubist paintings. This is, I think, one of the nicest. When you've got something like, look at cafe there, see that frame around cafe? If you rub with your finger and pumice, it's not going to get down into the corner of the edge there. And so that's going to stay black. You can get very subtle effects this way if you rub hard versus rubbing light.
Who did the raccoon-looking pieces?
Jane Martin. We should try some raku tomorrow morning.
Wow.
These are about 22 inches long. No, I'm sorry, 17 inches long. This is Joellen Stevens, Nature, Nurture, Mend, and Rend scissors. Joellen does this incredible feminist work using these references to domestic objects and to women's functions. So this side is the Nurture and Mend side, and the other side is Nature and Rend. So it's Nature, Nurture, Mend, Rend. And I wish I'd put my slide in. I have a detail of the inside of the other blade. You're seeing liver of sulfur, you're seeing etching, and you're seeing a rather difficult technique on the top of the blade closest to us. Those are steel sewing needles. It's such a, and it's about this big. I mean, it's important to realize that. I mean, it's like you could take them and go. This is a very old piece of mine called Desolate Moon with Small Companions, but it's got liver sulfur in it and laminate. The laminate does not react with liver sulfur, so you can get gold accents proportions anywhere you want. And so you've got some gold fused to a surface, or some gold laminate soldered to silver, or you cut through the gold to the silver under the laminate, color it, it's going to color, the laminate won't. There's a little Riker fold up at the top there. Another piece of mine, this is called Self-Portrait Fasting.
I like that.
A liver of sulfur, and it's the only piece of flatware I ever made, by the way. This is my Dead Souls neck piece. The reason I wanted to show you this is because what you're looking at are copper heads. They were electroformed. They were grown from a copper solution onto a wax model. But then they were gold plated. But I didn't want them just bright gold, but I wanted that some sense of richness to them. So here's the trick for getting a liver of sulfur patina on gold plate. You might want to try it on pure gold too. You clean the surface with soap, you rinse it very carefully, and then you clean it, you brush it with Tarnex. Tarnex is a commercial product that you get in the drugstore or in the grocery store for cleaning jewelry. Boy, all my work's fun. This is a piece I did at the beginning of the summer. I'm actually really proud of it. It's called Neuropathy. A rather different approach to a liver of sulfur patina on silver. What I did is I colored to one of the low colors. Then I took a Q-tip that had fine pumice on, and I made hatch marks and got back down to the silver all over the thing. Then I colored some more. The stuff that did not get pumiced off colored a little darker or a little higher. The newly fresh areas colored a little lower. I did it again. I colored again. And so the first surface is marching on towards black, and all the other surfaces are marching behind it. David Frida, he's totally dropped out. I don't know what he does now. This is his ceremonial wedding platter. So you see the trail of pheromones here, the sexual attractions here, and I think that's liver of sulfur. What a piece!
Wow.
What are the metals in that?
I think it's just silver, and there's a little gold soldered to the backs of the things.
So
Let me
the
see if I
bugs
have.
are liver of sulfur.
I believe
Yes.
so. He did the most incredible necklaces. He made these sterling silver eggs, and they look exactly like eggs. And then he had these baby turtles coming out of them. You know how turtle eggs are like leather, so they kind of peel back. They don't crack, they rip. This is another Charles Luton brain piece. What we've crossed into now are the various salt and ammonia patinas that I'll be teaching you. And this is a laminate fusion overlay on copper. It looks like there's some silver dust on there, some roll printing, some scoring and bending, and then a final patina with salt and ammonia. It takes about an hour for this patina, so it's pretty short for such a rich patina. And you just set it up and it takes care of itself. Another salt and ammonia patina, laminate, paper roll print, scored and bent. It's patinated. You can see that, like, if you really want to learn the stuff I've been teaching you from the source, you take a workshop with Charles, because he did all these things long before I did. I think the difference is, I think I like a lot more crispness, and I think I've worked much harder to learn to control things when I want to. He just, like, mushes the shit out of them, and it just goes from there. And I don't like that as much.
Where's he?
Book of technical tips that can be ordered through Snag or from him, and it's great. It's really fun. This is a piece of mine. It's called Naked Blue Pimply Fat Guy.
We won't ask who you were thinking of when you did that, okay?
These are all self-portraits. And here again, the electroforming process taken a little bit out of control, so pimples start to form. Remember, Kent test for sulfate. You have to check the pH. They're full of cyanide. You know, the copper baths don't have any cyanide in them, so they're much safer. And you go to Cascade Chemical and buy the materials for a triumphant figure with willow wreath. This is a technique I think I invented. This is a wax model that then had brass wool. You know what steel wool is? Well, at nautical supply stores, you get brass wool. Brass wool pushed into the surface of the wax and then electroformed. The electroform attaches to anything that conducts electricity. So all of these bits of brass wool touching one another create this network that then is thickened by the copper that I played onto it. And then you melt the wax out and heat it and pickle it, and then fume salt and ammonia patina. And then the little wreath is fabricated. In fact, I'll show you on my desk the sheet that I cut the wreath out of because I want to marry it down to something. Because what it is all these little leaf shapes cut out of the sheet. God, there's all this work of mine. I've used these patinas so much. This is called Sharp. Two different things of interest here. See, he's a little too curious for his own good here, so he kind of got caught by that little pod thing. And he's going, ah! This is when my work still looked a lot like Bruce Metcalf's work as far as the bodies. You see a copper nitrate, splattered copper nitrate patina on the body. It's something I've just recently come up with, and we need to experiment with it a little. If you look at the little platform that he's sitting on, you see a stenciled, fused silver dust. What I did is I took a piece of paper, 3x5 card, and I cut those little windows in it, and I laid it on the fluxed metal, the dried fluxed metal, and sprinkled silver dust, then lifted up the paper, and then carefully melted the silver dust. And then there's a splattered ferric chloride patina on there, which is another one that is pretty dangerous to do, but we'll talk about it.
What's the
Ferric chloride. The little box where his heart was is gold leaf. And he's wallowing in his own misery here, as you can clearly see by his little heart on. No, just glued on, like I showed you guys. An incredible patina by Kate Wogley. There are many patinas in here that I don't know exactly what the chemicals involved are. What I wanted to show you are these variety of very aggressive, crunchy surface patinas, often done by mixing chemicals with sawdust and burying the piece in them for some time. And I'll talk in more detail about that. It's just I'm not going to know exactly what chemicals went into all this. I'd love to know what this one is. It's metal too hot.
So it was an accident.
I don't know. It's just perfect, though. So we need to talk about that. Kate teaches down at University of Oregon, down in Eugene.
Then what is it? Is that a pin, you think? Or
Yeah, that's the thing.
then how does she apply a pin back to it?
Well, this was patented after it was all soldered. She got this read some way other than Catherine's.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. Let me catch up with myself here. More drawings of roses, same year. Isn't that gorgeous? Two vessels by Lynn Whitford, who is incredible at patinas. Although it's a little hard sometimes to tell with Lynn's pieces because she sometimes uses Prismacolor and oil paint and stuff too. So sometimes it's not necessarily all a chemical patina that you're seeing, but it's all paint. I mean, patinas are paint. You just grow them on the metal instead of getting them out of a can.
When you use paint and Prismacolor, you
Dog-eat out of it.
Lynn Whitford, this is called Represented. Copper, brass, and bronze shelf, so I don't think there's any paint in this.
copper, brass, and bronze what?
The shelf is bronze.
Oh.
Or I guess it's not really a shelf, a hanging mechanism.
So this is still salt and ammonia?
This is all wide variety of chemical and sawdust, probably patina, so I can't tell you for sure. We'll look at a book. The definitive book on the subject is called The Coloring, Bronzing, and Patination of Metals. This is called Oil Can Ballet by Lynn Whitford. I think it's just so funny.
Oh, that's
Aren't they nice? They do look, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Swan Princess in the middle or something.
I think the dance is sugar bomb thing.
Yeah, it is. Bowl by Helen Shirk down at San Diego. Delicate Balance, 1986. This is all patinas. a hole through it. So.
Here's your what's up?
Helen Shirk again. This is called Secret Garden. This is all natural patinas. I have a suspicion that the patina in the center was done by using either wadded up strips of plastic or paper that were saturated with a chemical, because it looks to me like crumpled paper against the surface.
She uses a lot of cheesecloth too.
Oh yeah? See, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
She had a workshop.
Normally says she drapes the chemical-laden cheesecloth.
Yeah, wraps it all up in, so that the chemical goes through in different layers and makes different patterns because it's all folded up.
Well, that's useful to know. That's what's happening with these. She's really, really played with the controlled patination. Another Helen Shirk. This is called Intimate Partners, copper brass patina. She's cleaned the patina off certain of those pieces, as you can see. These are etched.
This is material too.
She uses what?
Material.
Cloth.
Cloth.
Yeah. Another Helen Shirk. This is called Vessel C515B, 1984. So it's an earlier piece than the work we've just been looking at.
Very romantic too.
Yeah. This is Vessel BV18B, 1984.
Code that you have to decipher to know what those numbers
Yeah,
mean?
it's probably just the, she probably just,
process or something.
there's this whole, damn it, these are bowls. You may not put things in them, but their power rests largely on the fact that they have a reference to functional objects. And so when you start playing conceptual artist games like numbering things and making them mysterious and inflating them into way beyond what their intimate and wonderful set of associations and characteristics are, I think you really do a disservice to craft. Another one? It's a pretty nice one, actually. I don't know if these are, I think sometimes these are riveted, these have to be riveted together.
You can see the rivets at the bottom left.
Yeah, different metals and different...
Oh, yeah.
What is the patina that is creating that sort of black blob?
I think that there's a good chance there's a very interesting patina you can get on new gold by taking copper hydroxide and mixing in water and coloring new gold in it, new gold or copper in it. I've done it once. Copper hydroxide is incredibly expensive. And so I've never experimented with it much, but Betty Longy and I experimented with a fairly large piece one time, a big shell form piece, and we got that black.
Really, just copper hydroxide.
Vase, rather filthy vase by Nancy Slagle. I think it's yeah, it's really nice, isn't it? Or is it just me?
No.
Okay.
No.
3 cups, I think, also by Nancy. Yes.
So here's a question. Speaking of that last vase and some of your work, you don't see very much work.
Really tell there. I think they're silver-plated brass. Silver-plated brass, yeah. This is a vessel by Claire Sanford. This is not patina the way we usually think about it. This is painted with latex house paint and then wrapped with, actually it's painted with latex house paint, wrapped with binding wire, painted again and left to rust. And the water in the paint rusts it. Isn't it nice?
What's the base of it?
Copper. Look at Claire Sanford. These were really nice pieces. Very straightforward using the flat metal. There's no doubt about it.
What's that patina?
This looks like copper nitrate. Claire gives a really good patination workshop, so Pratt might consider bringing her in sometime. It'd mean committing to more of the chemicals around here, though, than I think people are comfortable with. These are 2 actually really lovely pieces by Leslie Light, who teaches at Penn State. Again, I don't know what particular patinas we're talking about here, but yeah. Lynn Hull, who's here in Seattle. These are spun rather than raised, so the vessels are made on a lathe in a circumstance exactly analogous to growing a clay pot.
What's the technique to get those patinas?
I think these are sawdust patinas or splattered patinas. We'll talk about those when we look at my sample. Isn't that a nice one? I'd like to know how she does that one.
That's gorgeous.
I think she spins just about all over.
I'd like to see more asymmetry to the things. And the truth, and to tell you the truth, I hate the handles. I mean, it's plumbing pipe, and it's just crushed and bent, and I think it's just really boring. This is a nice piece. See, these red patinas, I don't know how to get these, and I'm dying to know. I got to talk to Lynn about that. Series of bracelets by John Iverson. Same bracelet, different patinas. Two very interesting pins by a Portuguese metalsmith named Joaquim Capdevilla. No, I'm sorry, the wrong Portuguese metalsmith, Javier Domenech. I think always, here again, very interesting, you can see the solder seams down the sides. The patina covered them up at the bottom, but he didn't patinate all the way up, so maybe he buried this in sawdust part way, or he dipped it in a chemical and then heated it, but he only dipped it part way a couple of times, and then some sterling at the top.
Beautiful.
Isn't that nice? A very peculiar and specialized patina. This is Rochelle Thieves. I'll tell you how these are done. I've never tried it. These little shapes are called spiculums. They're hollow. They're tubes with tapered ends, basically. They're made of sterling silver. Here's what she does. She makes the spiculum, and then she builds up incredibly fine layers of fine silver on the surface. Okay? Fine silver is less reactive than sterling. She then grinds through that skin of fine silver, and with a torch, very slowly does a heat patina.
Wow.
The sterling patinates, but the fine silver skin resists the patination. This is how I've been...
Just heat.
Just the spiculae and the discs are done with liver of sulfur, and you can see that more shiny gray-black, but then the spotted spiculae are done with the heat patina.
She could do them like porcupine quills, patina them like porcupine quills. It would be really neat.
Bracelet.
Oh, wow, bracelet.
Yeah, these, I don't think these were ever really intended for wear, but they're just pretty nice things.
With a wild corral.
Some Jane Martin pieces, these are heat patinas. I think the difference is she doesn't, it looks to me like instead of using a big Smith torch like I do, she probably has a little mini torch or an oxyacetylene torch or up here and with a very fine tip on. She's taking these fused metals or solder overlay metals, and she's just touching a hot torch to various places and causing these heat patinas to form, but then she's pulling the torch away before the whole piece heats up and letting it cool down and touching it again. So she gets this real play of iridescent oxides all over the surface. Near as I can figure, that's how she does them. You might want to ask her. But we know how that piece in the upper middle was made. You got a disc of nickel silver, a disc of brass, and a disc of copper, and it's soldered down to sterling maybe. And when it was rolled, the solder came whooshing out. There's nothing. There shouldn't be anything mysterious to what you're looking at here now. You can see a roll print on the one on the upper right, some kind that was then flattened out again. Hi, Sarah. You have a couple minutes, or you want to? Okay. More of the Jane Martin. You can come and watch. You know, you haven't seen all of these. This is Sarah. She's my studio mate. This is everybody.
Hi.
So I think I figured this one out. The bottom circles, I'll bet, you can ask her for me, I'll bet she takes a piece of that ceramic soldering block with the holes all through it, and I'll bet she puts it on top of the metal and then heats the whole mess.
Whose
Yeah.
piece is this?
This is Jane Martin again. I'll bet you anything that's how she does that. Anything. Okay, here's the red patina.
Wow.
Now, I hate this patina. I'll tell you right now. To me, it means I burnt the shit out of this piece. Because this is the patina you get when you burn the shit out of things. I hate this patina. However, Catherine Vandenbrink, whose work this is here in Seattle, has gotten the most control in achieving this patina of anybody. You can't have any solder present because you have to, and it can only be done predictably on copper, as far as I know, and you have to heat the copper to orange-red heat, and then you plunge it into boiling water. Boiling water. And well, when we go back to the, there it is, Van der Brink.
Vanderbrink.
There's another one. And this is a very bad slide of a piece of mine with the same patina. In this case, electroforms. This was the two viruses on the sides were electroformed on bathtub caulk. What was that? I wanted to talk a little bit about paint, because you can paint metal. Nobody's going to put you in jail for it. The people that sneer at you are more interested in being tech heads than they are in making what you want to make in order to make your point. So this is Robin Kraft again. I showed you some other of Robin's work. The little triangle in the middle of the left is soldering brick. The green thing is a piece of coral, and all of the rest is wood that she carved to play against the surfaces. She can make a hunk of wood look like absolutely anything else she wants to. Look at the paint. I mean, you cannot tell how those surfaces are achieved. She uses a lot of encaustic paint, pigment in beeswax. Some wood pins by Bruce Metcalf to give you some idea of the sorts of things you can do with paint. The taxidermy eyes. He kind of came up with, well, these taxidermy eyes, or actually human glass eyes, were used by the metalsmith Sam Kramer in the 50s. There was a little vogue for those, but that's a taxidermy mouth there.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting.
I love it.
I thought this series was really good. This is a patina I have never been able to get to work, but I felt duty bound to tell you guys about it. Joe Wood also went to school at Kent State. The parallel lines, the horizontal lines, those are cutouts done with a saw. Okay, they're not a patina, but you see that kind of smoky black. Joe, from what I've been told, he raises the fine silver on the pieces, then he covers them with oil, like fuel oil or 10W40 or something, and then he has a way of burning the oil off that leaves this incredible residue. I think these are just, and there's a little bit of string then tied on the thing. I think these are the most incredible pieces of jewelry. They're just so beautiful.
So you think it's dirty oil that he uses?
I don't know. And it's, I need to, I have his email address. I really should send him an email and ask him.
You know, if you suspended something in that dirty oil
But he burns it off.
and then burned it off, it's a little white piece of rivet, or is it?
Yeah, that's a little, well, there are at least little silver balls that are sticking up, and he's putting that string across them. Joe has this very, as you see, geometric mentality, but by using this crunchy patina, he really turns these into mysterious, aged objects. They're beautiful in person too. This is not those patinas, but this is one of those amazing metal objects. I saw this in person last year. It's steel. Now, let me see if I can explain this.
It's a reflection.
It's a reflection. There's really not a cube there. What there is a little triangle,
Yeah.
a little pyramid pointing up at you, and it is reflected against itself, or it has a reflection of itself against the polished steel background.
Clever.
It's quite a piece. It's quite a piece. This was in a show in Ohio that I saw, and I was, man.
And is that the back? Is that is definitely.
This is Betty Helen Longy, and I think she can make sexy metal work. There's no doubt about it. Combinations of shelf forming, roller printing, hydraulic die forming, and these pearls. And she can make niobium look like these beautiful biwa pearls. Longy, L-O-N-G-H-I.
Where is she working out of?
Winston-Salem. I think Pratt should get Betty in. Betty does a workshop on 3 or 4 different things. You could have her do a niobium workshop. It's called Windswept. See the fringe roll print there, and then a paper roll print on the gold piece. Laminate.
Did she do a series on pods?
Yeah, they were in ornament.
It was an ornament
Yeah, that was a
recently.
nice
Okay,
spread.
yeah.
Yeah.
Paper roll print, wavy fringe roll print, shelf form, pearl, laminate, all that stuff.
What's the gold? What do you think the gold is?
The gold is laminate.
But is it a paper roll?
I think that's a paper roll print, like a really coarse paper.
Almost looks like leather.
These are some of those, I don't even know what to call these, crenulated edges are done with the Bonnie Doon press. She did a workshop at the Bonnie Doon place. And as far as I can tell, what's done is you make an edge out of masonite or something like that, and then you take the metal, and it's like this. You have an edge, and you take the metal, and then put some rubber above it, and then you press from above, and it pushes the edge down, then you move it a little, pooch it down, you move it a little, you pooch it down, so you get the same curve shifted one register over each time. I think that's how it's done.
Is the green done?
No, you cannot solder niobium, so you have to use cold connections anytime you have niobium. She sometimes sparkies to the back of niobium and then rivets that little sparked rod too. Hammer texture, paper roll print, Bonnie Doon press, pearl. Charles Luton Brain, a paper roll print, but I wanted you to see the scoring and bending technique once again. Scoring and bending, some kind of a roll print. This is just his doublé, his gold on copper. This is where they start getting interesting. Gold copper laminate, paper roll print, scored with a cutoff disc, bent, soldered, and then bent on the edges a little bit afterwards. This is a nice one. I brought not one of the ones that I've shown here, but I brought a Charles Luton Brain piece to show you. Paper roll print, scored and bent. Excuse me? Gold on copper. This is called cut and lift, or that's what I call it anyhow. This is in pewter by Robin Quigley. Take a sheet of pewter, cut it with a saw, and do this. And then either stick in a little wall or just barely overlap the bottom of this piece and the top of this piece and run some solder in there. It's a way of getting a line to rise out of a surface. The box made the same way. Now you can really see in that zigzag part exactly what's going on.
She put in a little square there.
She put in a little wall and a hole. So you can solder pewter with itself.
Yeah,
It's just
Yeah.
called nice woman.
way to do other metals without a drill bit. Maybe
Right.
if you ever tried one of the,
Oh, that's
The
so
cut-off
nice
discs
blades.
maybe,
Oh,
but
that's so
is that nice?
What are they?
This is Janet Crick. This is her father really spent a lot of time developing this method.
That's interesting.
That's a pin.
It's
Also
like
in
a face, right?
pewter. It's called Man with Monocle 1985. Okay, that's it for slides. But you can see what's starting to happen here since the gold does not react with the liver of sulfur. Okay. Let's find one.
Do all metals do the rainbow or just silver?
Copper will too, but it's not quite as down in the silver. See what the basic idea is. This is a patina that everybody's heard about, but I don't know that many people that have ever done it.
Hold that piece up again so we
Fires
can
are really so bad.
see it.
Well, they're hundreds.
Okay. Right.
Actually, 30 more seconds or so. I'm in fact taking it with cold ammonia overnight. Usually comes out a little bluer black than this other one. This one's pretty black, but
Did you hold ammonia on that first one?
yeah, this was cold fumed ammonia. Now I put a drop of Tarnex on it. But there's some of the things that happen on brass with cold fumed ammonia. But I've gotten the perfect black on new gold too.
Hey, you don't like it? You want to do it again?
It's not as dark as it could be. It's a little spotty. Also, you can see the effect of the rough grinding actually dragged some silver across the surface. But the copper, or no, the brass and the new gold are slightly different colors, and it didn't touch the copper at all yet. But I'm gonna.
Nice shirt.
Yeah, Kathy's piece
Is that
again.
good? Nice reflection?
I'm gonna try to get really close in there.
Now here's some of those more subtle browns.
Can you see the,
Yeah.
A
It's
little
very
cooler,
sparkly.
The surface might not have been prepared as well.
Great.
Kind of extremely thin layer of salt water on the surface. If you find that the salt won't spread on the surface, then add a little bit of soap to your salt water, which acts as a surfactant. Don't put too much on. Thinnest possible layer that you know that the whole surface is moist. Don't let it puddle, don't let it cool, don't let it drip. I like letting it air dry at this point. If you want, I'm going to do it on half of it, you can sprinkle some salt on it. It will give a different result than not sprinkling salt. So on this half I'm going to sprinkle salt, on that half I'm not. Now I'm going to take a container, I'm going to put ammonia in it, cold ammonia. Lid. Okay.
color? Yeah.
They're patinaed M&Ms.
This is the the famous M&M patina.
You don't like
We
blue
could try
color.
patina them. That'd be fun.
I'm going to
We'd like to make them blue
suspend
purple.
my piece.
Yeah, so it's take a little
Let
longer.
it sit for about an hour.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, we want immediate.
It's gonna pull off the tape in that amount of time.
Let's see. The top half had salt crystals.
Oh. Betty Crocker.
Here's one with salt crystals all over it.
Is
I'm not sure.
Do you want to clean it
liver
off?
sulfur.
Okay, stick it in there.
Looks like copper to me.
I guess it's copper, isn't it? It's not,
You might want to try eating cake glitter overnight.
don't tell Leslie.
What? They're not mine.
That's water, right?
Uh-huh.
I think this one I like better.
good.
Okay, it's not a perfect blackout. That's so bad. I like this.
Yes, right. He's not telling. He's not
This is your metal too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's nice. I like that. Yeah.
In glass or paper or something.
Just some ammonia and salt. How do you go try it?
Good stuff. That big, I'm gonna try to do this. That's, yeah, that's not so bad. This is so bad. The lid for it. Was that coherent?
Yes.
Okay. I actually
What
didn't
is
think
that?
the fume blacks would work as well. You're getting some heat coloration. Remember, that's copper, not new gold, so you're just sort of etching the copper surface. And
So is it better to use Tarnex then?
yeah, look at this one that's coloring in the air. Now that I have a little ammonia and stuff dissolved there, it's actually looking kind of nice, isn't it?
Great. That's really strange. It's still there, that halo.
It's some
Alloy.
yeah. Seriously boiling it over.
Really nice.
That really did
Very
turn out nice. Boy, that's a pretty subtle use of that solder dust or that dust too. I usually pile it on, you know. It's such a gorgeous patina. There's absolutely.
See how close I can get to these forms.
This is all for shelf warming.
Yeah, you can narrate.
There's nothing really to narrate except for that. There's two more cool pieces up here that don't relate.
That's
but
beautiful.
we'll put them on here anyhow, because we like them. I can tell you what this is.
That's cool. What is it?
Sinusoidal steak. I always say it wrong, so I know that's not how it's said, but it's similar to that.
What is it?
I made one. I made a steak. I'll show you. Virginia helped me make one out of a punch.
Yeah.
Well, while we're at it,
What do you use it for?
I'll show you. Well, I don't have one with me. Donuts. Let's just. Are you over here? No, she's over there.
I can go over there.
I'll show you how this pin works.
Oh, great.
It's a nice little pin. Here's the front. Here's the back. All it does, you push down, pressure, turn. There's two pieces.
That's so neat.
I'd love to want to do.
Oh, I can't do this like Vanna White, so there we go.
Lovely.
Well, like
well.
how you use it.
How you use it. Put it in the vise. Over this strap.
This is the back of a scored, folded, and then soldered piece. The front of the same piece.
Wow, I've never had a millionaires guess what that was for.
It's a lot of fun. Right?
And I didn't, I overlapped them into a perfect.
The other metals. Now, she had really good luck with it because she had these fairly large areas of silver, but you still see some kind of creep that happens around the edges of stuff, which is fine. It gives it that quote unquote painterly.
Now, were these
Appearance.
pieces the ones that were left in overnight?
Yeah.
Salted ammonia?
Yeah.
And reserve those, you put that salted ammonia put wax?
Yeah, this has 2 layers of wax on, and if I don't know how much nose grease I have. It's pretty early in the day, but yeah, I don't have much nose grease this morning, so.
Probably rub my
Can
forehead
you
about that.
smooth that with a fine paper to take
It'll-
it back a little bit?
It'll take some of it away, though. What I've done sometimes, if the creep has been a little too much, is I've gone in with you take a toothpick and cut the end of it at an angle, and then use some wet, fine pumice and just get in there and clean the place as you wish to. Yeah, I do that a lot, and I've been known to do that with the. I used to do for overnight or for 2 days over cold ammonia, and I'd still get a deep black, but it had a little more blue to it. But it would tend to turn the solder inlay a little bit green, so I would go in with a toothpick and just clean that up. This thing, I really love that deep blue. And we're going to take this then next door, and I'm going to show you. We're going to try to turn it to a green patina. Maybe we'll cut it in half. We'll try and turn half of it to a green patina by gently heating, so we won't ever have to worry about using cupric nitrate. Okay. The other thing is I learned something interesting last night, which is that kitty litter absorbs so much liquid that it ended up being totally dry, and almost nothing happened to my sample. So it tells you have to put a lot more stuff into the kitty litter and stuff. So you could experiment with that. Try putting fingerprints all over something that's already clean. Try maybe a very, very fine spray of oil on the surface and see what happens. Who knows? I wanted to point this out again as our control queen sample here. But also because this had Bill Seeley's Magic Pickle etch, and it gives an entirely different appearance to the nickel silver. It slightly etches the surface, it makes it more of a green, I don't know, it's a different gray than the other nickel silver grays. Like on mine. When I pass both of these around, look at the difference in the quality of that surface because the nickel silver's been lightly etched on one. Here, is this liquor sulfur or heat color?
That's heat, but I have the oil on the roller.
Oh, interesting. This is kind of dirty metal heated from below.
Yeah, exactly.
Heated from below with the torch, and you see some of the heat color form. Someone might want to try on maybe just a piece of scrap silver. Try Joe Wood's burned oil patina in cat litter. Oh, this is in cat litter. I didn't realize that. Really brings out the screen, and I think there are some beautiful areas in here that I think you can cut out and use.
Not the whole thing.
I think the whole thing's a little ungapach, but what else do we have here?
How did this one?
Oh, I'm getting there. Where scraps fuse down? This is yours, right?
Yes.
Yeah, is that just silver scraps fused down? And on new gold with fumed ammonia, right? Looks like you got some condensation on here, so you got the spotty ammonia, which makes for a much more subtle. Okay. These are a variety of medium karat gold powders melted to new gold. Thank you, colors. A beautiful roll print on it, and then the back is a real prize on this piece. A little roll of a spiral of metal, a double spiral of metal wire. Is that correct? I think this is twisted, then untwisted from each other and passed through the rolling mill, so that this turns into this. And by keeping the same thickness and the same twist, it all came so that it matched up like this. You can do it with pliers, but she'd still be there.
Yeah. You knew that anyway.
A couple of other things you could do. You could carve a wood form that you formed it down into, but this is so easy. What else do we have here? Here's a nice Whose is
That
this?
piece, what is mine in the
Yours
back?
too? See, this is going to be a good one too, patented.
No,
This is
it's
just
just,
a,
is it screen or?
you get the floor mold model bolted to the wall. You don't want it falling over on you. It's very simple. This is a hydraulic pumps. And there's a gauge on this. One part of the freight doesn't have a gauge. If you crank it to the flattens speed, you will break apart the frame. Because it's going to be pushing its two halves apart. And now I'm wondering what would happen if there were a round form in the middle of this. So I'm going to set it right here. I think this is what I would have been doing before here. I'm going to set it like that. And then I'm going to take a couple of pieces of soft rubber, only inner tubes for climb. I'm going to set it down on top. And I'm going to start cranking. I'm going to take my hand out, of course, before I This may or may not be enough rubber to do much.
That's Bonnie Doon frame though? They ordered probably
Is
the
this a
frame.
Bonnie Doon? This must be an early Bonnie Doon press then. It means it's much more of a manufactured total experience.
Oh yeah, ever seen a little great job in progress.
You can always put more flats on to make it travel less, or you just let it down. Rubber, like making it out of masonite. You put a piece of screen down and push metal onto the screen and make metal look quilted, which is just gorgeous. All I'm going to do is see if we can force this. God, this is boring. Okay, and let's start crushing it. Am I up too high? Yeah, we're up at our total height. God damn it. Okay, and I'm seeing pressure, pushing the rubber. Do this kind of slowly, give the rubber a chance to press in. I don't know if this is going to work or not. So.
What about annealing it?
It was already annealed, but you would, yes, want to have annealed metal.
Right.
And give that rubber a chance to push into there. I'm hearing my metal cracks. I'm probably going as hard as I want to, or my wood crack.
So how do you know how hard you crack?
You don't. Just experience. And I don't know. I've never used this one before, so maybe nothing's going to happen.
Metal to be hotter? Wow.
Oh,
I like
cool.
that. Wow.
Now, this is such a gentle method. It has not hurt my roll creep. It has not hurt my fusion. And I've got this incredible form.
And you spend all day chasing.
That's right. And I'm going this is interesting because very few people did this. This is silver fused to nickel silver. Sanded smooth, hummused, cleaned with Tarnex, and then a very quick dip to color, but not nearly as fast as the sterling. And this is just gorgeous. Wax it and you'll kill it. So understand that it's a fragile, relates to the graphic image on the surface. This is this wonderful production technique for every pin completely different. They have a lot more integrity than the same old thing cranked out. A lot more expression. Your customer has a lot more personal investment in the thing. This is like, it's unlike any other one. And they're fun. And what I like about it is this is just not some accidental pattern. It is an accidental pattern, but by the time you finish rolling it, it doesn't look accidental because it has affected the shape of the outside of the piece. And that's just a wonderfully layered design trick that happens as a result of the process. Very nice, very subtle.
But that won't last.
If you keep it away from more sulfur fumes and don't scratch away at it. Some of the heat and the liver sulfur patinas are surprisingly durable considering they're just tarnish.
What is that one again?
That's heat color.
But how's something
Stamped solder inlay. This is why. Okay? And then I marked, or somebody else actually made this, but draw a straight line down and use spade bits or spade bits, the big wide ones that drill big holes.
Spade bit.
Well, and then regular drill bits down here, and right along that center line, drill a series of holes from big to small. Okay? Then take a bandsaw and cut it, and you tube making blocks. With me?
Oh, yes.
People get really intimidated by tubes. And yet, like, I think of some of these textured metals might be great to make beads and stuff out of. You see, we're going to have a solder seed to contend with, but bead makers always do. Take a strip of metal. If the sides are even, you're going to have an even tube. If the sides are not even, you're going to have something else. And I'll try to make this work. Have it annealed. And these aren't real well annealed, so I don't know how this is going to work. Take your tube making jig and a hammer, a cross-peen hammer with nice rounded edges. I have two complaints about the hammers here at Pratt. There's a fantastic collection of hammers, but they're not properly ground for what I do. And when I show you Pratt's hammers, I'll talk about the two ways that I think they're improperly ground for certain types of work. Take one of the big edges. It may be a hammer that has a bigger form it down into the drop. Now, there's something called the principle of the interchangeability of curves. Principle of the interchangeability of curves. As I trough this out, because of the curve in my hammer, it's also going to, like this.
What
You
is
get
the name of the hammer that you're using?
people, they call this is a type of raising hammer.
Right.
But I'm not a silversmith, so I don't know all the ins and outs of all of that foolishness. Tube is going to get in your way. That forces the edges to stretch and straighten out. Metal is clay. It's going to do anything you want as long as you know where to hit it. It's that lever to move the world thing.
So how about they feeling this?
That would help, but the curve would still form.
Right.
And so I'm going to try to form a straight trough, not letting the principle be interchangeably. I want to mark up the inside of this. I'll talk about this a little more later. If I don't want to mark up the inside of this, I can take a plastic bag, maybe two of them, and use a hair tie. Protect the surface. It won't even destroy a paper roll print if you put a couple of layers of plastic on here. Okay, but I'm just making a tube. And so I'm going to move down to finer and finer to my tube making block. Until I think straight too. So another way to make it is take some time to force those edges straight. It's probably going to crush this on the top a little bit, so it's going to be kind of a dance between one hammer action and another. Okay. After you may need to change hammers as you get down into smaller troughs. I may want to stop to anneal at this point.
Oh, sorry.
This is one of the tragedies of this beforehand. So.
Wow, you can say hand. I pushed on the edges.
Oh no, it's hammer work. How you hold your hammer is really important. For any kind of hammer work, you do not want to do this. You have less control with your hammer like this than you do like this. You don't hammer from the wrist. Your wrist is a multiple joint. It's a universal joint, and so the hammer can go anywhere when you use your wrist. Hold your wrist like this and use your elbow. Your elbow is a one-way joint, so you can always hit the same spot. You don't even have to look at what you're hammering. I mean, you can hit the same spot over and over again.
Wow, here's a thought.
Shape. And then take something like this wonderful this wonderful Michael Good hammer.
What?
This is a hammer that was sold at the workshop that Michael Good gave, and there's one of them here. A planishing hammer works for this too. I sure would want to anneal this, but I'm not going to bother. And use the tube block to keep the thing round. As you bring the sides up into a tighter and tighter U, until the U starts to double over on itself. Now this is getting, because I haven't annealed, this is getting a little flat on the sides. Now I'm going to hold it here and I'm going to start bringing those edges in. Make sure that you bring the edges in like this. Do not do this.
Say that again.
Bring the edges together like this,
Right.
so it makes a teardrop shape.
Okay.
Do not go like this, because then they're going to go down like this, and do not overlap.
Don't some artists do that on purpose, then?
And you can use this technique from an open seam spiculum in a spiral, a double spiral bracelet around your wrist. This is it used to be on the back of metalsmith all the time on his ad. So from here to here, under, around, and to meet the original spot. And he was so good at he is so good at bringing this edge together that he is able to channel set diamonds where those edges come together for the entire length of that bracelet.
Wow. Master.
Okay? You know, either be teaching shell forming or niobium or a combination of both. She occasionally teach a forging workshop too. She's a pretty masterful forger.
Do you think she would ever?
She would come
coming
here. She'd come here in a minute.
Would she? Really?
Yep.
I think we should
I've
all
encouraged
support
her to look here. She's very busy and it's going to take about a year.
Yeah.
Oh, to the workshops there? No, I didn't. I just went to the conference.
Did you go to the Portland?
Uh-huh. No, not the workshops though.
Okay, who was the guy that in
He gives a nice etching workshop, I understand.
That's working well, even though it isn't annealed, because
Yep.
you're getting some resistance and it's not allowed.
Yep, it's not clumping on me. Look what I'm doing. I'm just running along the edge. I'm bringing the edge together. And what I want to do is I want to bring the edges. It's going to bang out a real quick 18 gauge to show you that it doesn't make much difference.
Is there an optimum? Because optimal.
Gauge? No.
Yeah.
Nope. Now, once you get your edges, I'm not going to. Once you get your edges together, then you hammer straight down on the seam to get them to meet. Don't worry if this is round yet. Forget all about whether it's round. Just worry about whether the edges touch or not. And then,
What's that hammer called?
oh, I don't know, just any kind of little planishing hammer.
So one edge is
A little of the corner off of the inside of the edge so that things meet. Remember, this is something people never think about. If you've got a seam, bend it straight like this, okay? And then by using this hammer all the way around lightly after it's soldered in the trough, you can make it perfectly round.
Wow.
It's not a problem.
Go back.
Okay?
All right. You hammer it until you get those edges pretty close, and then you solder.
Solder.
Want to see the tube?
No.
Now, it doesn't really matter if your edges are straight or not. This would be another wonderful person to take a workshop with Lois. Betty Longy will do this to you every 5 minutes for a week. Forming metal. She can make the metal do anything she wants to, gently. It's a revelation to watch her work, because it's a completely different approach to working metal than the traditional guys like John.
So you could.
Is that the same way that you make a tapered tube?
Yes.
It's like where that sequence would go by.
Oh, a tube, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But at the same time, take this corner and this corner and bring them down so they meet down here. So you have a hole to look through this way, a hole to look through this way. But I haven't done that much here. Okay. And then this is placed in a vise. And with a cross-peen hammer. See, the anticlastic surface, that's not an anticlastic surface, it's a trough. If I start curving it this way, like my hammer tends to make it, and it's a tube, that's a synclastic surface, it holds water. But if I start stretching the outside edge of the metal, hard enough for this. But in any event, this can be done over the whole piece and taken to any extremes you want as long as you anneal frequently. And with time, you can come up with something like this. The anticlastic surface can... Sure. And this is from Anchor Tool in New Jersey, and there's about a year waiting list on it. Sinusoidal steak, S-I-N-U-S.
You can make those with galvanized.
This is a Michael Good sinusoidal steak made of delwood that you just carve it, and it has all of these wonderful little things on for making spiculums, little curved tubes and stuff like that. I've been needing to make one of these and just haven't gotten around to it. So a little more control maybe, because it's not breaking under my hammer like the other one was. And what you do as this thing troughs more and more, you go to smaller portions of this.
If you're making one of these steaks, what's the difference in
I'll use a Delrin mallet on the metal. And this has the advantage of not marking up very much.
Did you buy that or did you make that?
I bought this one. I am not a big fan of making steel tools. I have better things to do with my time. I kind of resist decorative, and so they're different than what I try to do with my work. So you can do all manner of things to use this steak to smooth area. This gives soft wood. And let's say you really love this curve on this hammer. This is the single most useful hammer you can own, next to maybe a rivet hammer or a planishing hammer. I don't know what it's called. Rio, I think, carries it now, but a TSI even has it now. The bottom shelf and front case. I would trade almost any tool I own except my saw for this hammer. 44. Yeah. They call it a planishing hammer. This is a raising hammer. Yeah.
But you can get a
Off wood. New gold, roller printed. Cover this with plastic so it won't mark the metal. It won't even destroy a paper roll print. Piece. Or near the edge. Riker fold. Don't quote me. I'm just sitting here thinking I'm not sure that is the Riker fold now that I think.
Too late. You have to worry about it. The reason John can raise metal so fast with such control is because he takes a little divot out of the face of his raising hammers. And this is relatively uncommon. at least in the places that I've seen. But I'm not a vessel maker, so I'm not as into this stuff. What this does is this little flat spot helps trap the metal. It's tilted just a little bit back this way, helps trap the metal. But this hammer is worthless for shell form. Second favorite name of a metals, maybe my third favorite name of a metals technique, because thrumming is probably number 2. It's called bouging. O-U-G-I-N-G. Bouging is quite simply taking a metal hammer or stake, placing a piece of metal on it, and hitting the metal with a soft mallet to smooth out lumps without thinning the metal. And when you're doing shell forming, let's say this beautiful hammer, bam, 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 and you get a beautiful shell form, right? There may be some lumps and bumps on there. So take this hammer and put it in the vise. Now this is all in the vise now. Hold your metal over the same hammer face as you formed the metal with, and then smooth the metal. Okay? Now this would be held in the vise, not on a thing like I'm doing here. What's nice about it is it's a way of taking an edge, and you can take an edge and hold it past the edge of the hammer or above the surface of the hammer, and you can fold that edge down. Okay? It's a way to really get the very edges of things to fold more. Sometimes you'll see people hear about this technique and they'll take a flat piece of metal and they will waste enormous amounts of time trying to form that flat piece of metal with a hammer handle. You just don't get the mechanical advantage that you need to start the forming process. But once you get that curve in, you can hold it down and hold a part above the surface and hit it down to the surface of the hammer. That's called bouging. My favorite metals term is called snarling. Does anyone know what snarling is?
I should, but I forgot.
It's a fascinating. A snarling iron is a piece of fairly thick steel stock that comes up like this and curves up, except on the end it has a little ball of metal. Okay. Let's say you had the snarling iron in under the dent, and the snarling iron is in. It actually has another curve in it. The snarling iron is in the vise. You hold the teapot here and have someone hit the snarling iron and bounces.
Oh my gosh.
And bumps the hole up on the inside.
Show me again.
This goes into something. It's hit with the hammer and it bumps up. It bumps a hole in the inside. It's a way to take, say, a straight tube and bump it out in the middle all the way around.
Do you like in the car, pull a hole and pull it out?
Yeah, you could do that. You could drill a hole and pull it out. Spiral, the dreaded spiral.
I really like those things.
Well, they're so convenient, but they're also like art marks. They mean absolutely nothing.
What's the name? I'm sorry.
Cut and lift.
Where'd you get that great saw blade?
Be a little tricky to cut on this wobbly.
Oh, Keith, another thing, you were going to give us a tip for cleaning files.
Oh, tip for cleaning files. Here's a file. Take a piece of brass or nickel silver. Roll it very hard. And then step roll the end. That is to say, tighten the rolling mill, roll it in part way, pull it back out, tighten it a little more, roll it in less far, pull it back out, tighten a little more, roll it in less far. So you're making this very hard and kind of tapered. I hate file cards because they don't clean anything. Look at that silver in there, right?
Yeah.
There are overlapping parallel lines in the file. Go in the direction of the top layer, and they cut little teeth in here. And those little teeth will clean all the crap right out.
Wow. That's amazing, yeah.
Dapping tool, I'm going to No. I just think it's particularly interesting on a curved surface because it'd be very hard to create any other way. Lift it up, but make sure that it doesn't lift up so far that it leaves a space this way. Okay? Just lift it up till the top edge and the bottom edge meet. Okay? And you might have to, because of the kerf of the saw blade, because of the thickness of the saw cut, you might have to squeeze things together a little bit to touch perfectly, or use a very fine saw blade. Okay. There's nothing real revelational about this.
It's really hard to
Probably, you have to be pretty careful. And the thinner the saw, the finer the saw you use, the better this works, because you don't have such a thick saw curve. This is going to make a solder mess, I am sure, on the outside. Yeah, terrible solder mess.
There's a triangular file. You just file all the way across, and then fold it up, and then run solder along that back to strengthen it again. It's just scoring and bending. It turns out, and this is thanks to Charles and Luke Brain again, it turns out that a curved surface can also be bent. See? And it affects the rest of the surface because the rest of the surface has to bend to accommodate that curve. So Charles realized that he could do this. But this had been done before, but he's really done a lot of things with it. Curved surfaces are very, well, obviously a curved surface you're not going to be able to cut with a file. And the other traditional tools for scoring lines are using gravers, and the ability to use gravers is rapidly dying out, and they're very hard to control on a curved surface. Or scoring tools, which are usually made from the end of an old file. And I'm not going to attempt to make one for you, but if you have an old worn-out file, what you can do is you can take this tang and you bend it at a right angle until it comes back this way a little bit. Then you sharpen the end in such a way that when you pull it across a sheet of metal, it carves out a trough. Okay? And it's very hard to control. And those of you that are hanging around for Fred Fenster's workshop, he had about 20 different scoring tools. Lines with it. So, what would happen if I tried scoring lines cut with a cutoff disc? So, hold a piece of metal in a ring clamp, and you, I like a thinner bench block. Again.
You really think you can continue it?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, you can lift it. Okay, one cut isn't going to do it. Let me show you something else. Okay, I'm going to make an X here on the front. Okay. Do you see that little X on the back?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call the ghost. You want to score with the cutoff disc until the ghost appears on the other side.
Oh.
Otherwise, you get a very mushy, uncrisp bend. Now, if you cut through, you're going to have to fill it with solder, so try not to cut through. On really tight curves, you need smaller cutoff discs, so what some people do is they use up their cutoff disc to a certain point for regular work, and then they set them aside. They set them aside to save for doing this work. There are a number of, no, not different bits, there are a number of
This is
different
the
bits. Sometimes
cut and
they're
lift
separated,
page.
sometimes they're separated. I should mention, who was it that found the hand rollers?
And another example of the cut and lift.
Is that your own drill? Did you bring your own Fordham?
Yeah.
Is that a .8?
I don't remember. I think I just must have rolled this one last time. So I'm going to delicate thin spot. I'm just going to heat it until my flux melts and pickle it because it's a little too hard for my bending. Reached the point where I was showing my work widely and
And now we're looking at the very famous pinback collection that we're all so desperate to learn about. See how close we can get on this one. I can't believe how close this gets.
That's great. And we'll walk through each one.
And we can pick them up. Where'd they all go? It's hard to hold this steady. Maybe some elbow action. I love this one. Pinches in. It's just so elegant. Little wobble there.
You have Leslie's beautiful nails and hands from a week of metalsmithing.
Really?
And there's a simple tube class. Tell me when you're done.
Okay, yeah, it's good. Just keep going. I'll keep filming.
Okay, and here we have, I'm going to turn this over. Probably a piece of square wire or something. And you can see here how it's been routed out a bit. Very nice. And next we have
Get focused here. Okay, good.
tubing on the end. Let's do an end shot.
Okay. That's neat.
Okay. Triangle.
Having trouble getting that one in focus. Okay, good.
Simple spring. Bends over the triangle. Under your Pierre Cardin symbol.
Ooh.
2 jump rings.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, good.
And a tube. The spring is from the jump ring. Very simple.
Amazing.
And here, some of these we could actually skip over.
Okay.
This is another Pierre Cardin. And and here we have a little more. Now, I have to do this the other way.
Okay.
Tube clasp. And another type of a tube clasp. And a stone set spring wrapped. I'm sure he has names for these, and we don't know what they are. Okay. How do you do this one?
The little latch?
Oh, yes, but the latch, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to do this one because the latch is under. Here we go. There's the latch. And then this pulls out. If I could get the latch in the right spot, there we go. Latch pulls out. Hinge pops up.
Okay.
Don't ask me what you call it. We could name it the anchor. This would be your treble hook. And yet another.
Okay. I'll just keep going till the battery dies.
Okay, let's do this guy so we don't miss him.
Yeah, that's great. And the little double pinchy one.
And here we have what Jana calls the double pinchy.
I love that one.
Double pinchy. And here we have, I think this is the standard Pierre Cardin with a very fancy spring look. Okay, up here we've got another.
Okay.
Okay. And here we have, this one has a cut out of the.
Oh, yeah.
And here we have a raised tube, half tube. Pierre Cardin again, Pierre. Oh, here's a different. This is just a detail of another way to do an end, but this is the same Pierre Cardin little cookie. He's gonna hate that name. Sorry, Keith. And another little detail cookie,
Button
which we've
one.
seen
I love
before.
that. Triangle.
Triangle. And here we have a little bend in our wire instead.
Okay.
Very spring-loaded this puppy is. And I think that's about it.
Great. And there they are in all their glory.
Where did you live in Eastern Washington?
I have another one. I bought those in London before I ever went to Yemen.
Oh, silver.
But the amber is from Israel.
Oh, the amber is
I bought
different.
that on my very first trip. It's called baptism amber, and it's like that. I think this is it. Those are your beads anyhow.
hit and then a 1 to 2 carry weight. And if you hit wounds low, you can almost always catch wounds low.
Okay. No, I'm.
And the 955 or 956. You know, this way or this way? This is the back.
Yes, they are. I do repairs. I do everything.
And I assume that the shell.
I used to think it was, first I thought it
Okay.
was.
Thanks. You know, you want cards?
People ask me
No, I
all the
appreciate
time.
that.
I didn't want to do it. No, I made it really. Down on the floor.
You know, there's anything that comes across that hasn't been all that hard to do.
Some of them are horizontal. So you don't.
No, actually, I'm not out. I'm not sure I want another person. I got 2 people in the store and 1 apprentice. They had one bad word about her. Everybody will come up to me and say, "Oh, that person down the store can't stand it, but I love her." Here, she's great. Oh yeah, I hated her.
You're kidding.
If I ever gave up this door or moved, I'd have to shut it. I don't think I could.
I started at the
A long time.
So I went to Africa for 5 weeks and I came back
Is that Green Lake?
from the wholesale show.
The chain is from
India, yeah, and this is what they call. It looks like an interesting combination, yeah.
Oh, she has the best eye. I tell you, we go someplace and we're all just kind of stumbling around. There's Nora staring up on the bench thing. Oh, she's so good for the best thing in the bazaar.
Well, I follow in Ramona's footsteps and pick up what she hasn't already done. And you're, well, here's the thing, oh, you can't lie.
I think you can, well, oh, I love this awesome. This is too reckless.
Well, I was noticing the joint in the middle, and I thought it was
The
joint
joint
in
in
the
the
middle.
middle.
The camera queen. But this isn't even touching the collection. How fun. The general meeting and then 8 for the luncheon. These are wild.
This is covet.
You like that one? That looks so much like Sharon Borges.
God,
So
it's
funny.
so beautiful.
It's gorgeous. All the different. It's like a representing each child or event in life. This is amazing. Everything's sort of blown out of proportion. It's so funny.
I'm gonna try to get started.
And, you know, it sounded like I was born to Norway. I went to school in Oslo and the Kunsthandler for a year, and I did on the GI Bill, which was quite a wonderful thing. And while I was there, I went to many museums, and after I came back, while I was in Norway, this is more or less what I did, and it was kind of interesting. They would look at it and say, "Oh, typisk Amerikansk." Well, when I got home with a few pieces of jewelry, they said, "Oh, it looks very Scandinavian." Mostly I did enamels, and I'll tell you, we had to start from a big rock